These are the messages that Jesus delivers during near-death experiences to people who die, cross over to the other side, and come back to tell about it. What's remarkable isn't just that these encounters happen, it's that the messages stay shockingly consistent, whether the person who died was a devout Christian, a lifelong atheist, or a 9-year-old child lying in a hospital bed. Over the past 50 years, researchers have collected thousands of near-death experience accounts from around the world. Dr. Jeffrey Long, a radiation oncologist, has gathered more than 4,000 of them through his Near-Death Experience Research Foundation alone. Pastor John Burke has personally investigated over 1,000 cases. Across all of this data, across all of these stories, Jesus Christ shows up more than any other single being. Not Buddha, not Muhammad, not any angel or saint. Jesus. I want to be clear about something. This isn't here to tell you what to believe. It's here to show you what people consistently report when they flatline on an operating table, drown in a river, or collapse from a medical emergency, and then come back. The messages they bring with them have the power to change how you see everything: your life, your relationships, your purpose, and what might be waiting on the other side. The modern study of near-death experiences traces back to a single conversation in 1965. Raymond Moody was an undergraduate at the University of Virginia when he met a psychiatrist named Dr. George Ritchie. Ritchie had a story. During World War II, he'd been pronounced clinically dead. During those minutes of death, he experienced something extraordinary, something that would take Moody a decade to fully investigate. In 1975, Moody published Life After Life, and in it, he coined the term we now all use, near-death experience. That book changed everything. Moody documented a pattern. People who came close to death over and over again reported eerily similar things. They felt themselves leaving their bodies, traveled through some kind of tunnel, encountered deceased relatives, and met a being of light so radiant, so overwhelmingly loving, that it defied every word in every language they knew. The research has only grown since then. The International Association for Near-Death Studies was founded in the early 1980s. The University of Virginia's Division of Perceptual Studies has produced rigorous academic work on the phenomenon. Dr. Bruce Grayson developed the Grayson NDE scale, which became the clinical standard for measuring near-death experiences. Dr. Pim van Lommel's landmark 2001 study in The Lancet provided crucial medical validation. In 2006, the first International Medical Conference on Near-Death Experiences was held. In 2025, the field celebrated its 50th anniversary. Here's what the numbers tell us. Roughly 1 in 10 people have had something resembling a near-death experience. Clinical studies suggest the rate is even higher among patients who actually come close to death, somewhere between 10 and 20%. Among those who encounter a divine being during their experience, approximately 1/3 identify that being specifically as Jesus Christ. So, what does he say to them? The message that appears more than any other is love. Unconditional, overwhelming, incomprehensible love. People describe Jesus as radiating a light more brilliant than the sun, and yet somehow gentle, intimate, personal, beyond anything they've ever felt. Howard Storm, a man whose story we'll explore deeply in a moment, struggled to even find the words. He said if he could make up a new word for the feeling, he would. He compared it to the moment you first fall head over heels in love, and then, he said, multiply that by 1,000,000. That's what standing in the presence of Jesus felt like. This isn't love in the abstract. This isn't a theological concept. People come back from these experiences weeping, shaking, fundamentally altered because they felt something they're certain was more real than anything they've experienced in their entire waking lives. Researchers have noted this repeatedly. People don't say it was like a dream. They say the opposite. They say it was more real than real, that our everyday life feels like the dream by comparison. This love isn't conditional. It doesn't depend on how good you've been, what church you attended, or whether you believed at all before you died. Sandra Rogers, during her experience, asked the light, whom she identified as Jesus, a pointed question. She asked how people from other religions get to heaven. The answer she received was striking. The group or organization that people profess alliance to is inconsequential. What matters is how we show our love for God, by the way we treat each other. Howard Storm was told something almost identical. The spiritual beings in his experience said that the correct religion is the religion that brings you closest to God. When Storm asked Jesus directly what he should do with his life, the answer was breathtakingly simple. Love the person that you're with. That's it. Not build a megachurch, not memorize scripture, not convert the masses. Love the person that you're with, right now, whoever they are. This brings us to the second major message: purpose. Jesus doesn't just welcome people into the light, he asks them questions. Beth Pred was 9 years old when she had her near-death experience in a hospital. She met Jesus, and what he asked her was this: "What have you done with your life?" She was 9. Think about that. Even a child is gently prompted to reflect on whether they lived with love and intention. It's not a question of judgment, it's a question of awareness. Overwhelmingly, what people report is not a punishing God tallying sins on a ledger. It's a life review, often guided by Jesus himself, where you don't just see your life, you feel it. You feel every moment of kindness you ever showed from the other person's perspective. You feel every moment of cruelty, every dismissal, every thoughtless word, also from the other person's perspective. The message is unmistakable. Your interactions with other people are the single most important thing about your existence. As Howard Storm was told, all that God cares about is how we interact with other people. The third message is one that almost every person who encounters Jesus receives: go back. It's not your time. You have more to do. Go back and tell them about me. Children and adults alike report hearing these words. They describe being held in an embrace of total acceptance, looking into eyes filled with knowing compassion, and then being told they must return to their bodies. Many of them don't want to. They beg to stay. The love is so complete that returning to a broken, pain-filled body feels like being exiled. But they come back, and when they do, they're changed. Studies by researcher Noyes found that people afterward reported a reduced fear of death, a feeling of special importance or destiny, and a strengthened belief in life after death. Here's what's remarkable. Research shows that no relationship exists between a person's religious orientation before the experience and the depth of their encounter. Atheists have experiences just as profound as lifelong believers. But afterward, there's a significant correlation between the depth of the experience and a subsequent increase in both the importance of religion and in religious activity. These experiences convert people, not through argument, through encounter. Which brings me to Howard Storm's story, because it's one of the most extraordinary accounts ever recorded, and it perfectly illustrates the range of what Jesus communicates. In 1985, Howard Storm was a tenured professor and chairman of the art department at Northern Kentucky University. He was, by his own description, a hardcore atheist. He was in Paris on a trip when he suffered a medical emergency that, for all clinical purposes, killed him. His experience didn't begin in the light, it began in darkness. Howard found himself in a hellish realm, surrounded by beings who attacked him, ripping at him, gouging him, biting him, degrading him in every way imaginable. This is something that doesn't get talked about enough. Not all near-death experiences are beautiful. Researcher Nancy Evans Bush, a former president of the International Association for Near-Death Studies, along with Dr. Bruce Grayson, has concluded that distressing experiences may occur in as many as 1 in 5 cases. They involve feelings of aloneness, isolation, emptiness, even annihilation. They're underreported because people are afraid or ashamed to talk about them. But here's what happened to Howard Storm. In the absolute depths of his torment, out of pure desperation, this man who didn't believe in God, who had spent his entire adult life rejecting the very idea, cried out 3 words: "Jesus, save me." And Jesus came. Howard was pulled from the darkness into light. He was held, he was loved, and his entire life was transformed. He went on to become a Christian minister. He wrote a book called My Descent into Death. He has spent every year since 1985 dedicated to sharing what he learned, which is this: the most important thing in existence is a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, and the way you live that out is by loving the people around you. Now, I know some of you are wondering about the skeptics. They exist, and their objections deserve to be heard. Philosopher Robert Todd Carroll argued that Moody cherry-picked cases and that near-death experiences can be explained by neurochemistry, the result of a dying or drugged brain. Some scientists have proposed that these experiences are hallucinations produced by a brain in extreme distress. But here's where it gets complicated for the skeptics. These experiences don't behave like hallucinations. Hallucinations are confused, fragmented, and often frightening. Near-death experiences involve heightened consciousness and extraordinary lucidity. People come back with verified information they could not possibly have known. These veridical perceptions, accurate observations made while clinically dead, have been documented in peer-reviewed studies. John Burke tells the story of a hospitalized woman who was clinically dead and later reported floating above her body, passing through the ceiling, and noticing a sticker on the top side of a ceiling fan, a sticker that no living person in the room could have seen from below. It was verified. It was there. One study Burke cited found that 92% of observations made during these experiences were completely accurate, with an additional 6% mostly accurate. The AWARE study, led by Dr. Sam Parnia at Southampton and NYU, specifically investigated these phenomena in cardiac arrest patients. And then there are the blind. People who were born blind, who have never seen anything in their entire lives, report being able to see during their experiences. They describe the same things sighted people describe. As Burke puts it, that's mind-boggling. The famous Pam Reynolds case presents perhaps the greatest challenge to materialist explanations. During her surgery, all the blood was drained from her brain to repair an aneurysm. There was no basis for brain function at all, zero, and yet she reported a vivid, detailed experience that included verified observations of the operating room. As researchers at the University of Virginia recently noted when evaluating a new scientific model called Neptune that attempted to explain these experiences, the model, for all its sophistication, leaves far too many unanswered questions. Near-death experiences remain, as of today, scientifically unexplained. There's one more element of these Jesus encounters that I find deeply moving, and it's this: Jesus appears personalized. D. Margaret Tweddle explained that Jesus shows himself according to your own understanding. He appears in a way you can recognize him. One of my favorite accounts illustrates this perfectly. A man who was a committed, dyed-in-the-wool atheist had an experience and found himself talking with Jesus. But Jesus wasn't wearing robes. He was wearing a business suit. When the man asked why, Jesus said, "You wouldn't have believed it was me if I was wearing a robe." And they both laughed. That man is no longer an atheist. Think about what that means. The message isn't just in the words, it's in the approach. Jesus meets every person exactly where they are, in despair, in confusion, in faith, in doubt, and responds with love suited to their deepest need. A neglected child named John P. received a hug from Jesus, and that hug specifically healed the wound of never being held as a boy. Jesus then told him to go and hug others. A child with cancer saw Jesus driving a school bus. That image, so simple and so strange, transformed the child's oncologist at Yale, Dr. Diane Comp, from an atheist into a believer. As John Burke has pointed out, the people reporting these experiences aren't fringe characters desperate for attention. They're CEOs, spine surgeons, commercial airline pilots, bank presidents. They don't need money. They have nothing to gain by making up stories about dying and seeing Jesus. And yet they consistently say it was the most real thing that ever happened to them. So, what is Jesus' message to people who have near-death experiences? It's remarkably consistent, and it's remarkably simple. You are loved beyond anything you can comprehend. How you treat other people is the thing that matters most. Your life has a purpose, and that purpose is rooted in love. Death is not the end, and He is real. Whether these experiences represent genuine encounters with the divine, or something else entirely, something we don't yet have the science to explain, the transformation they produce is undeniable. People come back from these experiences kinder, less afraid, more focused on love, more certain that this life is not all there is. 50 years of research, thousands of accounts, dozens of countries, children and adults, believers and atheists, and the message keeps coming back the same. Love the person you're with. That's what Jesus tells them. And maybe, whether or not you've ever flatlined on a hospital table, that message is worth hearing today.